Thanks for inviting me. Before I start my talk, I would like to say that how I ended up here. It was a very pleasant meeting in Lucknow this year. I was a speaker at one of the conferences on sleep where I met Dr. Rima. And after the talk they introduced me to a clinic, that we have this boutique clinic and we run these services in Chennai. And we are interested in sleep. And when they introduced me to the clinic, suddenly something flashed in my mind. And that was the vision that my father had. Like when I did my MBBS, he was practicing homeopathy at the time on a charitable basis. He wanted me to do MBBS and homeopathy both, so that we can decide which therapy works best for the patient and give the appropriate therapy to the patient. But in the life turmoil, I couldn't do that. But when this boutique clinic was introduced to me, I could see that vision materializing, because they are having not one approach to the patient, they are having multi-modality approach to the patient. And I told them, okay, fine, what help you need in sleep? I'm there for you, because I think we are spending 1/3 of our life in sleep. So if sleep is not taken care of, the other organ systems may not be taken care of well. So when I was asked to give this talk, one of the challenges was, as a physician, we often restrict the scope of sleep to sleep disorders only. Whereas as a healthy person, you may not have any sleep disorder, but there are certain concerns about sleep that everyone has. So I decided to give my talk in 2 halves. So what I'll be doing with you, I try to give a few simple answers to simple questions like, why do we sleep? What should be my body position while sleeping? How much sleep do I need as a child, as an adult, as an old person? Can I catch up? Okay, in today's busy world, can I work a lot during the weekdays and then catch up on a weekend? Can I nap on weekdays, on weekends? How does this circadian rhythms, the light, affect my sleep? Can I read? What should I do nowadays? With digital devices out, should I read a hard copy of the book? Should I read a digital copy of the book? If I read digital copy, does it affect my sleep or my health? Nowadays, those apps and wearables are in fashion, right? And everybody is monitoring their sleep, their steps, their calories, their food intake with those apps. Are they reliable? This is the first half of my talk. The second half of my talk will be addressing one of the sleep disorders called obstructive sleep apnea. It's burden in India. And how do we manage OSA cases? So I will try to cover all the audience. And not only, because when patient comes to the physician, it's not only OSA that they're concerned with, they're concerned about their sleep overall. So let's start with that. The first thing, why do we sleep? Is there any grand unified theory explaining the function of sleep? It is still elusive. I cannot give you one theory at why do we sleep. But one thing I can tell you, nature has not done a mistake by making us sleep at night. It's not a mistake. It's not an evolutionary mistake by nature. So function of sleep, we take 3 basic approaches to understand the function of sleep. One is comparative physiology between sleep and wakefulness. Another is effect of sleep deprivation on physiological processes. And the third is effects of sleep enhancement. And historically, we have been thinking that sleep is restorative. It promotes anabolic processes, growth hormone released during M3 sleep, which promotes growth, There's a metabolic theory, that is regulation of body temperature happens, energy conservation happens, removal of toxins generated during wakefulness. There's the survival theory. Remember, as human beings, we came from savannas in Africa. Okay? We were living in jungles. And at night, when there was no light, we were exposed to predators. So if we go out into the jungles, chances of survival were very least. So sleep, as an evolutionary, may be part of the survival process that we have survived till today. Also, we talk about neural growth and processing, that is neuronal synaptic plasticity. It plays a role in brain development and restoration. It plays a role in learning and memory consolidation. Now, all these are theories given by several experiments. But I cannot pinpoint that this is one particular role of the sleep. All these are the roles of sleep. Now what happens during sleep? Do you think when you sleep, does your body change in any way as compared to wakefulness? It does. Because when you sleep, your sympathetic activity goes down. Your arterial O2 and saturation goes down. Your ventilatory responses goes down. Your heart rate, cardiac output, blood pressure, it goes down. Your glomerular filtration in the kidneys goes down. And that is what keeps you sleep, because if glomerular filtration does not go down, urine output will not decrease, and you will be waking up in the middle of the night just to pass urine and disturbing your sleep. So overall, it's a very smart process that brings down all the systems to their least activity so that you can have a restful sleep. But there are some things which goes up also, like parasympathetic activity, arterial PCO2, renal water reabsorption, again decreasing the urine output. Growth hormone goes up. And if you remember, as a child, we were always told, if you want to grow tall, you better sleep well. Right? As kids, we were told by our grandmothers or mothers. One of the reasons was that during sleep, there is a spurt in growth hormone release. And if you do not sleep, that spurt in growth hormone does not come. Prolactin release. All this happens during sleep. Also, the body temperature varies during sleep. We sleep on a falling temperature curve. So the temperature curve is falling, and this is the time when we are sleeping. That is why it is very important to have an appropriate temperature in the room when you are sleeping. If it is too hot, if Chennai becomes too hot, what happens? Either your AC goes up, you switch on the air cons, cool down the room so that you can sleep. If you are unable to do that, power cut, you are unable to sleep. Because with high temperatures in the room, the falling temperatures of the body are not achieved, and you are unable to sleep because of that. Also, there are rhythms in your body, like your gastric acid secretion is maximum between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. Your cortisol secretion is maximum at 8 to 9 a.m. and it is minimum at around middle of the night. And cortisol is a stress hormone. It makes sense, my body is relaxed, right? So to sleep well, the cortisol should be minimal at night. Thyroid stimulating hormone, it is maximum between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. Minimum between 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. So a lot is happening in your sleep. What I used to think as a lay person about sleep was, okay, this is a switch off. We sleep, we wake up in the morning. What happens during the night? We don't know. Because okay, it was a silent period, but no, it is not a silent period. Your body is doing a lot of things to help you to be fresh in the next day. Your systems to work optimally the next day. Your body is doing a lot of things for you in the middle of the night. Another thing is sleep. We have come to know the function of sleep from sleep deprivation studies. And one thing is, we have to keep in mind, all of us may be sleep deprived to a certain extent, but the vulnerability to sleep deprivation, it varies within individuals across time and between individuals. What I mean by that, at different life stages, sleep deprivation may have different effect on your body. Okay, and this sleep deprivation in one person not be same as sleep deprivation in another person. And consequences of total sleep deprivation appear to differ those from chronic sleep restriction. So here is a word of caution. In the clinical literature, you will read a lot of experimental studies done on human beings where they will call healthy human beings into the sleep lab. They will restrict their sleep in a very strict protocol, look at how the body behaves to those restricted protocols. Those are not equal to sleep deprivation. Those findings cannot be taken out into the community. So be careful when you're interpreting the literature of studies which are using sleep restriction as the protocol. In general, what we know is if you're sleep deprived, you're not having the amount of sleep that you need, what happens is sympathetic activity goes down, which excites every system of your body, which is not good for you in the long run. Insulin resistance comes and you're predisposed to diabetes. Metabolic rate goes high and mortality increases. If you're sleep deprived, your vigilance comes down, you're prone to accidents, occupational accidents or road traffic accidents. Seizure threshold comes down, seizure precipitation becomes easy, resistance to infection comes down. I still remember my grandmother used to tell me, if you have a cold, just sleep well for one night. Everything will be fine next morning. And many times that happened. And that is because if you are sleep deprived, resistance to infection goes down and you are prone to develop infections. Now, from here, I will try to show you something very interesting and very concrete evidence that what sleep can do for you. This was a study published in 2013 which looked at a system called brain lymphatic system. But this is a system which clears toxic metabolites from the brain. And so proteins linked to neurodegenerative diseases are present in the interstitial space around the cells of the brain like beta amyloid, alpha-synuclein and tau proteins. This lymphatic system is the CSF. It helps to remove interstitial waste products and toxins, including the beta amyloid from the brain region. And what they have found is the activity of this system is very low when you are awake, but it increases when you fall asleep. So this lymphatic system's capability to remove toxic metabolites from the brain, those beta amyloid, alpha-synuclein, tau proteins, all are cleared during the night when you are sleeping by this system. If you are not having an amount of sleep that you need or you're sleep deprived, this system activity is not optimal. Those toxic metabolites starts accumulating in your brain, and we all know that beta amyloid is one of the proteins which predisposes you to Alzheimer's disease in the long run. Alzheimer's is loss of memory with aging. So if you are not sleeping well, if you are sleep deprived, your brain may not be removing the toxic metabolites that are need to be removed. Now, from here, sleep helps us to remove toxic metabolites from the brain, and sleep helps us in a lot of other ways. Now, let me pose you a question. And I want to sleep. In which posture should I sleep? Should I sleep supine? Should I sleep in left lateral position? Should I sleep in right lateral position? Or should I sleep in prone position? It's a simple question that you can ask. And is there any benefit of sleeping in a particular posture? And I'm talking about healthy individuals, not about any disease pathology. When my patients will always ask me this question, and it was very difficult to answer this question because when I started looking for science, there was nothing in science and nothing in the clinical literature. Then I thought, if science is not the answer, let me go into the cultural aspects. Let me go into what our ancient texts are saying. When I started doing that, looking into the Quran, we found a verse which very clearly says that if you want to fall asleep, at the initiation of sleep, try to sleep in the right lateral position. No reasoning is given in Quran for that. Just when I look into the Indian system of the yoga, they recommend that you should sleep 50% of the time in the left lateral position, 50% of the time in right lateral position. And they recommend to start your sleep in the right lateral position in the yoga system. Now I saw a convergence happening between two different set of ideologies. Both are coming to a common point that when you want to take a nap, try to start your sleep in right lateral position. Quran never gave me an explanation, but yoga gave an explanation. According to yoga, your nostril have the left nostril and the right nostril. The left nostril represents the parasympathetic system and the right nostril represents the sympathetic system. If you sleep in the right lateral position, your left nostril becomes active. As a result, parasympathetic system becomes active, which increases your heart rate, increases your respiratory rate, increases your cardiac output. So it relaxes your body. Makes sense now, right? But I was still looking for some hard evidence in science, and that came in 2015. In 2015, this study showed that better to sleep in right lateral position. And why? They showed that in right lateral position, the activity of the lymphatic system is highest. That means lymphatic system can remove toxic metabolites in a much better way if you're sleeping in the right lateral position. And I said, bingo. Now there is a convergence of science and the cultural wisdom that they have been teaching us for centuries. So my advice, but these findings of the lymphatic system still have to be proven in humans. These are animal findings. So my tip, first tip is, if you want to sleep, start your sleep in right lateral position, and once you are asleep, don't worry about your body position, because you can't control that. But to begin with, we can start in right lateral position. The second question that you need to ask is, what is this circadian system and how does it affect my health? So what you need to know is, through the eyes, we not only see the world, but what happens through the eyes, the light enters, it goes to the brain, and we have a clock in the brain, which is called master clock, suprachiasmatic nucleus, and its role is that it controls all your peripheral organs. And all the peripheral organs also have their own clock, and this master clock regulates the clocks in the peripheral organs, and thereby you have rhythms in your different organs, and your body is working optimally. Now, what does this mean? This means you should be exposed to light during the daytime for the proper functioning of your body. We should not be exposed to light at night for proper functioning of the body. But thanks to Edison, he invented a light bulb, and from that day onwards all the problems of sleep started. Another issue is, for proper functioning of these rhythms, we need to eat during the daytime, and we are not supposed to eat during the night time. Our societies were the ancient societies, the food was available not 24 hours. The food will be cooked during the daytime and served. Families will eat together. Nobody was going to, there was no McDonald's, there was no KFCs in ancient societies, so nobody was going out. But nowadays, food is available 24 hours. As a result, this whole light and dark cycles, the food is being eaten at any time of the night. Now, there was a very interesting experiment done in rats. So what they did was, rats are very active during the night and they sleep during the daytime. So they took two rats. One rat was given a standard diet during the night time. Another rat was given a high-fat diet during the night time. What they found, The standard diet given that was healthy, low fat marks, normal blood sugar, cholesterol, insulin and leptin. But the one who was given high fat diet during the night became obese and diabetic. So next time if you visit in the middle of the night McDonald's, KFCs, you're eating fried food in the night, be aware something may be happening to you. They did another experiment. They gave these mice high-fat diet, but in a timely fashion. What they did was, high-fat diet was given during daytime, high-fat diet was given during the night time, but at a particular time. And that time was 8 p.m., not after 8 p.m. I tell you the story about this 8 p.m. But the second rat was given exposure to, given access to the high-fat diet ad libitum. That means whenever the rat wanted the food was given. That is what is happening to us as humans. We want food, McDonald's is 24 hours, KFC is 24 hours. Eat as much as you want. And what they found, this rat who was given access to high-fat diet, but only at a particular time and not after that, the liver was much healthier. It was not fatty at all. Whereas this mice who was given access to high-fat diet, as much as he wants to eat, at any time, he developed a fatty liver. And this experiment leads to a conclusion of a cafe. You can go to this delicious chow cafe, all you can eat. It is open 24/7, but be ready. You're going to be obese because of it. Or you can have a cafe where food is served from a particular time and not after that, and be slim and smart. So choice is yours now. So these circadian rhythms, they also have certain disorders in them, like delayed sleep phase syndrome, which is more common in children, that is especially adolescents. What happens with adolescents? There are a lot of adolescents sitting here. Or we tend to stay late at night and then we cannot wake up early in the morning. If we cannot wake up early in the morning, cannot attend school, cannot go to college, miss our classes. Right? That is delayed sleep phase syndrome. Another disorder is advanced sleep phase syndrome. Your circadian become advanced. That is, you sleep early and wake up in the middle of the night. This happens commonly in elderly people. Elderly people, they sleep around 8 or 9 p.m. and then wake up at around 2 or 3 a.m. Now this is very important to recognize, because if you do not recognize that this is a disorder, what happens is, an elderly person comes to the clinic and says, oh, I wake up at 2-3 a.m. and then I cannot sleep. We might think that this patient is having sleep maintenance insomnia, whereas that person may be having actually advanced sleep phase syndrome. So you have to take history appropriately and determine, is it really a sleep maintenance insomnia, or the circadian rhythms are advanced for this patient, so you have to treat accordingly. Another disorder of circadian rhythm which you all may be aware of is fly to US or Europe and you cannot sleep, right? And that disorder is called jet lag. Now, for jet lag, in today's world, we travel frequently. I'll give you something which you can use to avoid the consequences of jet lag. Now, that is this app. You can download it in your iPhones or from Android store. This app is called Entrain app. This Entrain app is developed by one of the leading universities in US. And this app will ask you, where are you traveling, when are you traveling, and how long you are going to spend your time in that particular country. And they will give you an advice. The app will give you the advice that how you can minimize the effects of this traveling towards the west or from west to the east by managing your light exposures at the right time. Advice will be given on everyday basis. Okay, on this day, take light now, at this time. Don't take light before it. All advice will be given to you, which will minimize your jet lag. Very useful tool. Try to use it in your practice if your patients are traveling towards the west or from west to the east. So my sleep tip for you for maintaining your circadian rhythms is try to have a fixed bedtime and wake up time on weekdays and weekends also. That is very important for healthy circadian rhythms. From those experiments in the rat, I can tell you one simple fact: have your dinner at least 2 to 3 hours before bedtime, and after that don't eat anything. Now, I'll tell you the story of the rat experiments. In the rat, which was not given food after 8 p.m. I was very fascinated about this 8 p.m. thing. Why they chose 8 p.m.? What is this magical number of 8 p.m.? What happens if I would have given the food at 9 p.m.? I was thinking like that. I never got an answer until I met the lead investigator of the study, and I asked him, how did you get this magical number of 8 p.m. that don't eat after 8 p.m. and then you will never become obese? You know what he told me? There was no science behind this 8 p.m. number. Problem was, my research fellow who was doing the experiments, his girlfriend will not allow him to stay in the lab after 8 p.m. So our experiment stopped after 8 p.m. So I cannot give you that number of 8 p.m. as a magic number to practice, but what I can tell you is 2 to 3 hours before your bedtime, finish your dinner, and after that don't eat anything. Adolescents who find it difficult to go to bed early and wake up early to go to school, they may be suffering from delayed sleep phase syndrome. And many times we just take it as, oh, this kid is not listening to me. And we don't pay attention that